Are child prodigies born or are they made? Well, let's ask Long Long. When his mother was pregnant with him, she listened to hours of Western classical music, hoping her unborn child would take note. Before he turned 2, his parents spent half their yearly income on a piano. It's got to put a lot of pressure on a kid. But Long Long says his love for piano is genuine. He was inspired to play by this cat. But Tom and Jerry just aren't going to be enough, so you have to go do something about it. So at 9, he moved to Beijing to study at China's Central Conservatory. He lived in a slum with his father. His pops was relentless, drove him to practice in every waking moment, stopping only to eat and sleep. And it makes you wonder what kind of toll that puts on a young man. At 17, he moved to the U.S., and since then played Carnegie Hall, the White House, the opening ceremonies of the Beijing Olympics, and at 29, he now wants to reach out to young people. Seems to be working. In China, it's believed he's inspired 40 million kids to learn to play. There's even a name for it, the Long Long effect. And although some critics find his style too flashy, Long's out to prove that showmanship and popularity can go hand in hand with classical precision. Right now, he's in the middle of a residency with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, and as always, his performances have been bold, charismatic, and fun, much like him. Please welcome back, Long Long! My man.
Hi, buddy.
How are you? How's it going? Nice to see you again.
So happy to see you.
It's been, this show's in our 8th season. You've been on a couple times, but in the very beginning, so it's been a long time. How are things, man?
Everything's good. I still remember our first meeting in the same building.
That's
and,
right.
You know, George was also directing the camera. Look at that, go this way. Yeah.
Much to the director's chagrin, we're still doing that. No, well, you know, I'm excited to have you here. You're spending more time in Canada these days than at home, aren't you?
Right. I mean, this year in Toronto, I'm spending like 14 days and much longer than I'm spending time in New York and Beijing. So I feel home this year in Toronto.
Does it, you know, do you have to feel settled in a place to put on a great performance? I know sometimes musicians go on the road pretty regularly and they kind of lose that base, that center they need. How have you been managing all of that?
For me, I like traveling a lot, but certainly I don't like the jet lag part. Yeah. And sometimes can be quite awful.
Do you ever get nervous on stage now? As you've done it more and more, has your relationship with the performance changed?
I'm not so nervous, but I can be overexcited the night before, so I can still, you know, go into a bathroom like 10 times before a show and before a concert.
Do you ever have to go in the middle of a concert?
Once, but nobody really find it out. So before, you know, between breaks and I, you know, drink water, you know, and then once I start drinking too much, and I felt there's something I need to do. So I went to the bathroom, and you know, people are still applauding. And so of course, when I came out, I gave extra bowing because I really appreciate it.
That's amazing. And you're like, I just had to go. That's all.
Right.
You're in a unique position because a lot of kids, when they get into something really early and their parents really sacrifice a lot, kids feel the pressure that they need to make their parents' sacrifice worth it. I know from a young age you've been doing this, and you and your father, like, really, I mean, you lived in really tough situations to build this career. At any point, did you ever feel that pressure on you, that you had to make your parents' sacrifice worth it?
I did for some years, but then I realized, you know, the important thing is that the things your parents want you to do, is that really your dream? And for me, maybe, I mean, I have been pretty fortunate because my father's dream or my parents' dream is actually became my dream as well. So in the end, was kind of okay.
Yeah, and your father was a musician as well, right?
Yeah. He plays erhu, you know.
Yeah.
And you know the difference between erhu and violin? As erhu has only 2 strings and violin has 4, right. And that's the difference between chopstick and fork.
That's it right there. So it's cultural is what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's, yeah.
But I mean, at what point did you sort of not feel that pressure? At what point did you start to realize that this was actually maybe your dream too? This is where you need to be?
After I won the first time in the international competition, and I just really fell in love with music because I felt that on the stage, this is kind of my destiny. It feels so warm and so beautiful.
You ever get tired of practicing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, no one likes practice, you know. But unfortunately, we need to because practice does make difference.
Your mother's actually here in the audience. So we've got your mother with us right now. Yeah. What do you remember your mother telling you about this, like before a big performance or a big competition?
My mom, she's always quite sweet. You know, she never put so much pressure on me. So my father was the one really, but he encouraged me a lot as well. So in a way that before every concert, my mom's always say that, yeah, play good, but make sure, after the concert, you go back to sleep early. Yeah. So that's what my mom. Did
you live up to that advice, or did you go out and party?
No, unfortunately, no. I prefer the party part.
As you should. You're a young man. You're still working with UNICEF, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Why is it important to you to be a part of that?
Yeah. I became a UNICEF ambassador in 2004, and I had my first field trip to Tanzania. And it's just a great pleasure to perform music for kids and to raise money for better education and a better health environment for them. And I just love to keep doing it.
Why is it important to you? Why did you feel, because a lot of musicians would feel uncomfortable even stepping out. Why did you think it was important to do that?
For me, in different stage of my life, there always been great mentors helping me, support me. And I think, once you succeed with your childhood dream, you should give it back to the society and to inspire others.
When you were on here last time, we were talking about the idea that China was becoming this burgeoning superpower, and now there's no doubt that it's an economic powerhouse. And do you feel almost like you have to also be a representative?
I mean, as a musician, we are the citizen of the world, and obviously, I'm quite proud, that China is actually doing wonderful in many ways. But in the same time, that the important things for us, for people and for musicians, is to communicate with music to different cultures. And I'm just really happy to be a musician that we have this stage, to communicate with different people from different part of the world.
When you find you're playing classic pieces, are you finding ways to infuse your own personality into them still?
I mean, obviously, we need to bring different characters through music, and we need to connect the style from this moment to the previous moment. But in the end of the day, you need to be convinced by the notes, by the music that you are producing through the composition. And you need to have that perfect match between the great music and great composers, great culture, and to your hands. That, you can talk about the whole time, but if you try to play as beautiful as possible, but if you don't have that on the keys, then it doesn't work.
You remember in the very beginning when you first came on the scene, you were very flashy and people didn't know how to take you. Have you found that some of the critics of you early are starting to understand what it is you're doing? Have they come on side with you now, or are you still facing that criticism?
I mean, obviously, everyone has their own different styles. And for me, I look at the videos that I played when I was 5. I played exactly the same style. Obviously, I probably play more notes today, but, the style never changed. And I mean, just think about how can you switch your signature to somebody else? Right. Same thing.
You have to be who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, what's about doing Beethoven? I mean, you're doing a bunch of Beethoven performances, right? The concertos. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
It's great pieces, and it's all 5. This is actually my first time working with, a great orchestra, Toronto Symphony, and with my old friend Peter Ongjing, and we just had so much fun, and we had also a lot of education concerts this week going on, and I did two education concerts today.
You're playing with students, right?
Yeah.
What are you feel important that you have to mentor them as well?
Yeah, I mean, for example, in today's society, a lot of the schools, public schools, they don't have budget for music, and they cut the music and art. And for us as a touring artist, we need to bring that tradition back through performance, through the events that we're creating, and to synergize the energy for those kids. So we have like 100 pianists playing together. Actually, 101. Yeah.
You're the one.
Right. Hopefully, everybody can be the one. And we are performing together and talk about music together and talking about relationships between live music, experiences, knowledges. And really, this gave me the chance to open our heart, to our future musicians.
There you go. So you said you can see him play the Beethoven stuff. He's also got the DVD List Now, which is out, I believe, on DVD and Blu-ray. November 21st is when it's in the stores. And he plays with the TSO through November the 19th. Real pleasure to see you again, my friend.
Thank you. Take care.
Long, everybody. We'll be right back.